Shalom. Allah start out by giving our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Harakakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, great wisdom, salutations to the Ophelet that's pushing this truth across the four corners of the earth and all faith, truth, necessary. I'm one about back getting us sitting. Just gonna go into it real quick. This is not gonna be a long sitting. I'm just gonna go about just how a lot of so-called Negro, Latino, Native Israelites, and just people, people here in America, Babylon the Great, how they gonna get caught up, in the bad times, the evil days, which like I said, we in the beginning of it right now. We in those times, but a lot of people out here, especially so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Israelites, are not, paying attention to the signs of the times, not knowing what's going on around them, and they're gonna get caught, by the wrath and judgments of the Lord Yahweh Shah, because they not, paying attention to, in the spirit, of Lord Yahweh Shah, of the Lord, knowing like, hey, the times of what's going on, what's ahead, what's on the horizon, and it ain't good, Like I say, things might seem okay, and like I say, I say you still, ride around, go here, do this or that, but is, if you really paying attention, it is, that if you're in the spirit, that this ain't things ain't this ain't normal. This ain't, things ain't how, there's something really, really bad around the corner if you're not paying attention, like, knowing what's going on within the news, with these let's say with the earthquakes and so forth, that just happened, going on, the pestilences and the financial, situation, the financial downturn of the economy, is not good, and so forth, right? But like I say, you got so-called Negro, Latino, Native, like they stick on party bullshit, until things just really, really get bad, and then they're gonna wanna repent and turn to the Lord, and beg for help and mercy, from the Lord, from the Lord, who y'all call Jebus, God, who y'all call, God the Jebus, right? But the real name of the Most High is Yahweh, and Son's name Yahushua in Hebrew, But you're gonna have those people calling on God and Jebus and whatever, or whoever else they call upon, but that ain't gonna save them, man. Like I say, you got the name of the Most High and the Son, but you better hope that you're of the elect that Lord Yahweh shall have mercy upon you and deliver you out of, in these times going forward, man. Because the days that are ahead in America, Babylon the Great, it ain't good, nothing but a lot of, like I said, a lot of pain, a lot of death and destruction is ahead, man. A lot of sorrow, pain, death and destruction is on the horizon, man. And the things that you see right now, it's only gonna get worse, man. Like I said, yeah, man. But I'm getting to Ecclesiastes 9:12. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. So like I say, a lot of people, here in America about migrating the world. In these times, gonna be caught up, in those, in those traps. We just get caught up in the judgments that the Lord Yahweh has for them. You might be having fun. You might be having fun and this and that. But that's how the Lord Yahweh gets you. Yahweh gets you when you up. Everything's going good for you. Everything's you thriving or whatever, you having fun, whatever. And then boom, disaster comes, right? That's how Lord Yahweh gets you. When you least suspect it. Everything's going good. This person was doing this and doing that. He was gonna be successful. Or, people just having fun. Or they were just living life. Blah blah blah. And then boom, right? Disaster hits. Judgment come down by Lord Yahweh. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen to a lot of people here in America about migrating the world. When everything, the peace and safety, when they think everything, is okay, man, we're good, blah blah blah. And then boom, disaster come, right? That's what's gonna come. That's what's gonna come upon a lot of people, man. In these evil times, man, these bad times right now that we in right now. But like I said, it's only gonna get worse, man. But go from there to let me see real quick. Hold up. Let me see if I can see it. Let's see if we pull up like this. I don't think I might not see. Hold up. So I can give me another one. It's not showing. That's it. Okay, well, now that I was thinking about, but anyway, I won't. But maybe, but I'm just gonna go into what was that? Ecclesiasticus. I'm gonna go Ecclesiasticus 5. So I ain't gonna make this too long. This is Ecclesiasticus 5 and 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed, and perish in the day of vengeance. So hey, ain't make no tarrying to turn to the Lord Yahweh Shah. Who y'all people call, let's say, the Most High Yahweh, who y'all call God, Son names Yahweh Shah, who y'all call Jebus, but no, that's the true names of God, and who y'all call Jebus, the true names of the Most High Yahweh, and the Son's name is Yahweh Shai. But like I say, you have people that like I said, so-called Negro, Latino, Israelites, though they hear the truth that the apostles and the elders and brother don't teach. But they don't want to, they don't want to come into the truth and believe and and come to the truth, believe, repent, and put their to come, to lay, to teach the world, you know, to really, believe, and come to the truth. I say, and wholeheartedly, put their faith and trust in Lord Yahweh Shah, in the truth of the word of Lord that the apostles and the elders and brother grandmas don't teach. They still, you have those that, they still want to be in the world, and they don't want to fully, believe in the truth of Lord Yahweh Shah, commit, to the truth of the world, of the word Lord Yahweh Shah. They want to, still be in the world and power and bullshit, or what they comfortable with, I guess, but like I said, the comforts and the comfortability and the things of the world that that makes you feel good or whatever. It's not gonna benefit you in the end. In the end, a lot of so-called Negro, Latino, and Israelites that hey, they got their consolation prize, they got their, they got excuse me, they got their money and so forth, and this and that. They got they got all this money and fame, whatever, right? Notoriety, status, but in the end, it's gonna destroy you. Cause Lord Yahweh Shah, he's not of this world. If you don't want to fully sacrifice and commit to Lord Yahweh Shah's truth, and like I say, do your part, whatever that may be, and put full effort into it. You wanna, you just on the fence. You second guessing what it may be, and you don't really truly believe. Then like I say, you're gonna have a lot of so-called Negro, Latino, Israelites gonna be destroyed. 2/3, gonna be destroyed in these times. And how about Shah gonna bring judgment upon them? When they least suspect it. And I say, like I say, I always say, me myself first and foremost. Hopefully, I'm probably righteous number to escape the rapid judgment of the Lord Yahweh Shah. But you have those that like they don't believe. Like they like they're supposed to. If you hear this truth and you understand it, and but you don't want to put in your time and and your work, and push this truth, of the word Lord Yahweh Shah, what you could do to push the truth, with the ministry of the truth, however that may be, your gift, your talent that you can, do as far as pushing the truth, of the word Lord Yahweh Shah, because like I said, not every man, Lord, they had different talents and gifts, whatever that may be, but whatever that talent gift is, you do it all your might, you push the talents gift that Lord Yahweh Shah has given you, with the understanding of the word, and you push that. You push that talent, you push the truth, with the best of your ability, but like I say, you're gonna have a lot of people just, hey, they're gonna get caught off guard, in these times, not paying attention what's going on around them, they just think that everything gonna be okay, that, what I'm saying, and things gonna go on, and ain't gonna be no big change or tragic disaster or something like that. It ain't gonna come about. That's not true. A lot of like I said, a lot of excuse me, a lot of death and destruction is coming upon this place in America, Babylon the Great, man. A lot of pain, a lot of sorrow, like saying, a lot of people out here gonna be losing their minds, and you know, and so forth, man. You know, that's what's coming, man. So, and I say nothing's good coming to America, but I'm the great going forward, man. Going forward, and there's just, you know, there's gonna be a lot of, you know, horrific, I say, judgments that gonna come down by Lord Yahweh Shah in these times going forward. So, with that, I didn't make it too long. So again, hope this edifying. Again, I like about praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Harakah Kadash, to the apostle elders, to the Sisakin brothers, to the Fiakwaf sisters. Do listen, keep the faith in Yahushua, keep fighting. That's it. Shalom.